Okay, wonderful. I'm seeing a thumbs up, so hopefully the audio is good there. Wonderful. Hey everyone, thank you for your time today and joining us for the Rapido monthly update. Today's update is for March. My name is Megan Weldon. I'm Rapido product manager and happy to be here with you today. Okay, our webinar will follow a familiar format. First, we'll dive into items related to the Rapido community. Then we'll speak to the release highlights for the monthly release, the April monthly release. And then we'll have time for frequently asked questions, where we'll also look at your questions today as well. Okay, our first topic, the Rapido community. So exciting news for today. We have 120 live libraries with University of Minnesota joining the Rapido community in March. So congratulations to University of Minnesota for going live with Rapido. We've seen a lot of growth with Rapido this year. Another topic related to this is another great news story. The Consortia of University Services in Catalonia, CSUC Consortia, is joining the Rapido and Rapid ILL community. This is a group of 14 academic libraries, and we're very excited for them to join you all in the Rapido community. Okay. Another topic that is important for all of you is the Aluna Conference. We're all very excited for the Aluna Conference, and I saw from the community that registration for this conference is now open. So if you're looking to register, you can do so, and we'll see you at the conference May 14th through 17th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you want to connect while we're there, please reach out. Judith and I will be happy to see you and make time to spend together. As I look forward to this conference, I'm looking at quite a few different sessions for and by the Rapido community and starting to fill out my agenda. So I'm seeing a lot of great sessions for the Rapido community, several sessions on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I look forward to seeing you there in those sessions. And similarly, if you can't make those sessions, but you're going to be in person and want to connect, please reach out and we will set up some time to do so while we're all in the same place at the same time. Additionally, like the Aluna conference, we also look forward to the Igloo conference. We see that they are now accepting proposals through April 21st. So if you want to share your story or hear other library stories about Rapido or other library solutions, you can feel free to submit proposals and keep an ear out for registration opening for the Igloo conference. And one more conference I think that's all on our radar is the Northwest ILL conference. We've seen this conference come through on the listserv. It looks like the folks putting on this conference have extended the submission deadline for proposals to April 1st. So again, if you're interested in sharing your story, this conference is happening. It's a hybrid conference, it looks like, this year with an in-person option in Eugene, Oregon, and virtually as well. So if you want to share your Rapido story or your other resource sharing stories, they are also accepting proposals. Okay, next is to dive into topics from the Rapido highlights. Okay, our first topic is related to our theme of Connect in Rapido. So this next development is the automatic creation of partners to help ease those connections in your environment. So this functionality will allow lenders who receive borrowing requests from partners who do not share the same pod, or if the request is coming from not a Rapido request, the partners can now be automatically created. And you see an example of that in this library's partner list. Um, Other information to know about this functionality is there's a new checkbox on your partner record. It is the automatically generated checkbox, which will be selected if a partner is created through this automatic partner creation pathway. Something else to know about this functionality is the ISO symbol is in parentheses, and the ISO symbol is in the name of the partner, and the ISO symbol is used for the partner code. So you have that visibility all in your partner record. Should you want to use this functionality to ease the creation of partners, you can enable this functionality. So under Configuration, Resource Sharing General, and Other Settings, you'll find a new customer parameter, and it is labeled Rapido automatically create partners. By default, it is false, so you will not have this automatic partner creation by default. You need to enable that parameter to true if you want to be taking advantage of this functionality to have partners created when you receive requests from those partners that don't share a pod with you and you're receiving those requests via ISO or INSIT protocols. Okay, our next big development is related to the theme of personalize, letting you customize how you use and experience your Rapido. So the major development for this month is this invoice functionality. So moving forward with the April release, when you select requests there, you're going to see the send invoice button in the upper right, which is circled in red here in this screenshot. It'll be a new action available to you on your lending request task list. So there are a few conditions that are considered before an invoice is sent. An invoice is only going to be sent if a request has the invoice printed indicator value of no, thus it's not going to resend the invoice. If all of the selected requests are already handled, already shipped, then it will generate an invoice. It's not going to generate an invoice on requests that haven't been updated. And it's only acting on those selected requests, whether they're active or inactive, with an item sent date. So once you've selected those requests and performed that send invoice action, you'll get confirmation notices about if an invoice was delivered or not, and you can look into the request parameters to see if it meets these conditions. Additionally, related to the send invoice action, if you don't want to be sending invoices manually, there is a new partner job that you can set up to have invoices automatically delivered based on the job parameters that you assign. So it's like other jobs, you can see the status of the job, you have the option to schedule it, you can actually push it to run now. And it's in your Rapido jobs configuration. So if you don't want to be manually sending invoices, but you do want to use invoice functionality, you can use this job to support that workflow decision. Okay, once that job is run, you'll see the job events that were triggered from that job, and you'll see the new invoice sent and the failed to create invoice. To give you a little bit more information about what happened with the job, you'll have this report that is visible to you for you to investigate further. So if you select on the new invoices sent link, you have this visibility of which you'll have the partner name, the invoice number, and the number of requests. So you can see which partners received the invoice, what invoice number was assigned, and the number of requests that were included on that invoice or handled by that one particular invoice in that job. Alternatively, if you selected that section failed to create invoice, you can see which partner did not receive their invoice and the error message that is associated for you to be able to follow up on to understand why your invoice maybe did not get sent to that partner. And then another aspect of this functionality is the letter that is sending out to these partners that you are invoicing. So here's an example of the new invoice letter. And you'll be able to see this invoice letter. I'll show you on the next screen how you find that. But in this letter, just like your other letters, you can customize the fields. But what you have out of the box is the external identifier of the request, letting your partner know which request you're invoicing them for. You also have the various fee types that you might have request costs in, so that they know why they're getting that invoice, and then the sum total of what you are charging them for that request. And in this example here, we see that we've invoiced this partner for 3 different requests, and these are the different fees that they've accrued for those requests. To see those letters, you'll find that a new attachment tab has been added to your Rapido partner. So each time that invoice is sent to the partner, whether that's that manually through that send invoice action or through the job, the invoice will now be in that partner attachments tab. And you can see here that the file name includes the invoice number to make it easier for you to look up the particular invoices as you correspond with your partners. Another aspect of this functionality is the new fields available to you on your lending task list and your request visibility here. So with the invoice functionality, you'll now see the invoice sent date, the invoice number, and invoice printed fields on those lending requests. You'll be able to indicate if an invoice was printed, when it was sent, etc., by being able to manually edit these fields as well. Okay, this month for the April release, we have a few different aspects that support our theme of optimize. So let's get into those various developments here. So this is a development that really is reliant on rapid ILL functionality, and you might have already seen it come into play already. I wanted to take our time together to speak to it briefly so that you can be familiar with it. There is an automatic article resend action happening in the background now. So what's happening is it's checking for requests that have been updated to filled, but without a file actually being attached. So your end user hasn't gotten the content that they have requested. The requests that are updated in this way without the file being attached will automatically trigger the resupply request action, so your lending partner knows to resupply that content. If it finds that this has happened a second time on the request, meaning they've updated to filled again without the file being attached and delivered, the request will move on to a new lender. So I think this really supports fulfillment rates and turnaround time for your requests through your Rapid ILO partners without taking up your time to be necessarily um, looking for or searching for these particular requests. This is just going to be running in the background for you. Another development that I think speaks to our optimized theme is greater visibility within the request related to the permalink field. In the past, we've had folks acknowledge that it might have just said ALMA, but now you'll have more information in that permalink field of your borrowing requests. We've heard this as being useful when you are trying to understand, how did my user find this record? What is it that they're actually looking for? To give you, and this new information will give you that visibility to find what they were looking for and how they found that. Okay, the next development related to the optimized theme are these new APIs. We've got a few different new lending APIs that you can use to support integrations. There's a new there's 3 new APIs that you can use to support your integration with other systems. A common use case that we've heard the need for is perhaps you're managing your um, request-related finances in a secondary system, and you need to be able to pull information about your lending requests into that secondary system. for keeping that updated. So these different APIs, you have a retrieve and update APIs to be able to support those integrations that you might be interested in. And we've got documentation on this, and it's one of the links that I'll share with you at the end of the session today. Okay, the last development, our main release development for the April release is the addition of some new fields in your analytics. So a major topic for today has been the invoice functionality. This will be newly available to you within the April release. We know that you might also want to run analytics on these various invoices that you've sent out. So you'll now see the invoice create date, the invoice ID, and if the invoice was generated, yes or no, within your analytics fields that are available to you under your Rapido attributes within creating your analytics reports. Okay, and getting into our frequently asked questions and then looking to see what questions you have today for us to work through together. All right, I wanted to note in our frequently asked questions today, quite a few resolved issues with the April release, things that you've brought to our attention through support cases. There's quite a few of them that are being resolved with the April release. Putting this here because I get questions about these things sometimes. So here you can see a few of the main ones that are being resolved in the April release and your support cases there. This is also in the release documentation, so don't feel that you have to read through every single item right now or that you're missing out. But it's in the release documentation, and there are quite a few things that we worked on with the April release items associated with your support cases. Okay. And then another question that I have been hearing a bit lately is how do I include an additional symbol or identifier on my partner record? There was a development in November 2023 where we added the alternate symbol field to your resource sharing partner records. This alternate symbol field is available for you to use as you wish. It is a free text field. You can add in maybe a different symbol, a different identifier, some sort of information that you might be mapping to in another system or be using by other means. This field is also available for you to add to various letters. So the alternate symbol field can be added to the full incoming slip letter, the resource sharing shipping slip letter, and the resource sharing return slip letter. So if you've got a partner symbol or nickname or something that you like to use in your workflows, you can add that to your partner record now, and you can pull that into your letters for your use. One example that I've heard this being useful for is maybe you work on a courier system or in a consortia or otherwise have some sort of naming convention for a different partner library and you want that information to come through on your letters. You could add that information to your alternate symbol field and then pull that into your letters by adding this field to those three available letters there. Okay, I'm going to share some of the links that were referenced in our slides today. I'll do that in the chat and I will look for any questions that have come through today. Thank you. Let me stop sharing so it's a bit easier to engage with the chat. Right. The links should now be in the chat and be available to you. I'm seeing folks mentioning they'll be at some of the various conferences, so wonderful. Look forward to the opportunity to connect with you at Aluna and Northwest ILL and Igloo as well. I see a question asking about the automatic resend action. The lender receives the resupply request, so they know that it is a resupply. and they can fulfill that request at that time. Okay, I see a question about the invoice action. Currently, the invoice functionality and action is for charges that you have identified or defined for the individual requests. We've heard from the community and spent time with the Rapido working group on this topic of the interest of having invoice functionality be really useful for replacement costs as well, or lost item costs. That is not Those are not fee types currently in this invoice, in this release, but we've worked with the working group community to hear about that value and hear about the various kind of parameters and considerations that need to be taken into place as we look to developing that functionality in the future. I see a question about the invoices. Is there a payment system? So this is simply an invoice functionality for you to generate invoices, for you to then send to your partners. The way that you may engage with payments with your partners is up to you. So there's a flexibility there, but it is an invoice generating, not a necessarily a payment system. I hope that answers that question there. Okay, looking for if there are any other questions from the community today. I'm not seeing anything, but I'll give you a moment in case you're working on typing out a question. I am going to send one more chat out to you to include my email address should you want to connect with any questions that come up after today, or if we need to expand or elaborate on answers to questions that you've already shared. Additionally, if you have topics that are maybe bigger than an email and you want to set up a meeting, happy to connect with you and your colleagues via a meeting. Okay. Thank you. I'm not seeing further questions. I apologize if I've missed your questions today. Please reach out via email if you want to connect further, and I'll be happy to do so. Thank you all for your time today.